Hello everybody and welcome back to the Highbury Way. I did say there were going to be more videos and look, here I am. So as you can tell from the title of today's video, we're going to be talking about has Mikel Arteta turned the Arsenal squad around? Has he changed his fortunes as he goes to brighter days? So obviously, there is potential to take the team to new heights. It's been a disappointing season, obviously finishing 8th and 8th again. But I think we first of all let's just start by looking at recent performances and stats. So we are actually unbeaten in 5 games across all competitions, and unbeaten in the last 4 Premier League games. Obviously, it is no secret that we did have a terrible start to this year. Obviously, first 3 games, first 3 losses. But I think if you do take the games in isolation, so if you look at the Brentford game, it's the first game back in the top flight for 70 plus years. It's on a Friday night, first game of season. There was something, that like an upset win out of the realm of possibility. It's something quite poetic about them finally getting back to the promised land of you know top tier English football, and then going and winning against one of the big boys in Arsenal. So, it was always poised and set up to be an upset. So although it is a bad result and it is a game Arsenal should be winning, you know you can understand how Brentford would attack that game, and they went into that with nothing to lose. If they win, it's a brilliant start to the season. They announce themselves. If they lose, then yeah, they're a new team coming up. Of course, they're going to lose. So I think that one is a tricky one because although it is a game you should win, you can very much understand why it is a difficult game. Then obviously next to we played European champions in Chelsea and then league champions in Manchester City, which if we're being honest, both of those games are not games that we would usually be expecting to win anyway. Maybe snatch a draw or maybe pick up some lose points on a good day. But they are always going to be probable defeats, especially given where the club's been in recent years. So I don't really think we can complain too much about losing to them. It's understandable. Obviously, for me, I don't think the tide turned in the Norwich or Burnley game, though. Obviously, both were pretty hard fought 1-0 defeats. But nonetheless, we did get the job done, so you really can't complain. Could see as well players starting to gel more, obviously, they went over to the fans throwing the shirts in, really soaking up the atmosphere from our fans, which to be fair, they've not really been doing much recently. And I can't really blame them. Obviously, it's not been the most supportive fan base. Let's just leave it at that. But nevertheless, we did get the job done. Norwich, a young side, did give us some problems. It probably should have been more on the day, to be honest. But it is what it is. It's still 3 points at the end of the day. Burnley, on the other hand, you really can't take Burnley lightly. I mean, they're not a walkover team. They do play dangerous style, especially for a young team like ours. Obviously, Ramsdale came in fairly inexperienced with our back line. Obviously, we know he is commanding. He's not afraid to raise his voice, but nevertheless, there is some uncertainty there. Obviously, Ramsdale, White, and Gabriel are still finding each other's feet. Finding each other's styles, how they can gel together. So, a goalkeeper and your two centre halves not quite being 100% understanding yet. There is, a risk that a long ball over top or a ball floating into the box is going to cause some scramble. But everyone did the job. We got a win, and I think that for me is when the mentality started to sort of shift. There was a bit of a switch around the club in general. I felt it from the fans. I felt it from the players on pitch. Obviously, Mikel were buzzing. You could see from him obviously his trademark celebration. But then I think no one can deny the Spurs game is where you could really see the tide rise. Personally, I thought it was the best, most progressive front foot Arsenal performance I've seen in probably recent years. Obviously, a lot of the criticism around Arteta has been that there was no progression. At times, it looked as though there just wasn't a system in place. You couldn't really understand where the team were going for a long period of time. There were different formations, different team selections. Just nothing really seemed to be sticking. But for me, I think the Spurs game, that's where everything flipped on its head. The team shape, I mean, it was suffocating Spurs. As soon as they got on ball, the high press that we've been doing for the past season and a half, which was working kind of, it really switched on. Spurs couldn't get more than 3 or 4 passes away for first, probably 35, 40 minutes. Obviously, players are going to be more up for this game, understandably. It is North London derby, but still, every player fantastic. Tomiyasu came in and looked sensational. We'll put it this way: if Bellerin doesn't have a loan to buy, he definitely does now because he will not be coming back if Tomiyasu has another few games like that. He's going to go down in folklore with them performances. It was stunning. Him and Saka were linking up like they'd been playing academy together. Sensational. Obviously, we did play brilliant football, and if that is the kind of football that Mikel wants to adopt and play, then I don't think it'll be long until we are top six challengers again. And I can say that very confidently. I don't think there's many teams that could handle that press, that kind of intensity, um, in the league. To be honest, obviously the big boys can, but in terms of these sort of mid-tables, so lower leagues, no league, lower position, I don't think they can. I don't think they're physical enough. Um, and equally, that kind of play does take a sort of, a Pogba, Fernandez, a De Bruyne, a Jorginho, someone who can just pick a pass and just cut out a press. Obviously, not a lot of teams really do have that in Prem. So, if that's kind of what we are going forward with, then I think it could be quite an exciting time. Obviously, next game after Spurs, after that fantastic 3-1, it was only a draw against Brighton, which, when when you hear a draw against Brighton, you do kind of scoff at it, but you've got to also appreciate Brighton did find themselves as potential league leaders if they were to win that game against us. So, they were just as up for that as we were. Obviously, we're on a run of good form as well. They're on arguably even better form. They're looking like they could have been top of the league after that fixture. So, I think in the end, a draw was a pretty fair result. Both teams have played very similar. Neither have really imposed themselves. I think Brighton had a acrobatic chance, but it was just a half-assed attempt, and it did end 0-0. But to be honest, I don't think either team really left you know that stadium thinking that they'd been robbed or anything like that. It probably a fair result on the night, but more importantly, it did once look again like they were playing together. Maybe Mikel has found his team now. Obviously, he's brought in Ramsdale, he's brought in Tomiyasu. They were a start. I think it was for the Brighton or North London derby game that 6 out of these 11 starters Mikel had personally bought. So it's not players that have been at the club and he's kind of inherited them. This is his team. These are the players that he's gone out, scouted, looked at, brought in. Maybe it is now that he has assembled the squad that he believes can play the brand of football he wants. And, it does seem to be as if there is some cohesion starting to form, and the performances are matching suit as well. So there has been kind of flashes of Arteta's brilliance and ability as a manager before, and the recent string of performances is probably the longest sustained period of positivity in, I'd say, recent months, maybe even the past season, 2 seasons. So it does seem to be kind of an aura forming around the club. But I think even the fan base is on the start of something we can tell. But while I don't think we are out of the sinking ship yet, obviously early into this season, a few more bad results and the pressures are right back on us. But I do believe that Arteta and the squad have definitely turned a corner, and obviously we are now starting to build on something which hopefully can transpire into that top six finish. For me, I do think that is the goal for this season. I think maybe a cup run. I don't think he'll win silverware this season, unfortunately. Maybe he will. You never know. But I think a top six finish, a solid cup run, it's just establish yourself as a top six team. Obviously, top six is not what it used to be anymore. There's the likes of Leicester, Wolves, Everton, West Ham, Aston Villa. I mean, they're all teams now that realistically, in their own right and merit, based on merit, are competing for the fifth and sixth place spot. That's not including us. So there's probably 5 or 6 teams all battling for 2 places now. So although I do think six is an aspiration, I do also think it's achievable, and it would definitely be a sign of advancements that we are making. And I think it'd cap off a good campaign, to be honest. Obviously, it'd be an improvement on past couple of seasons. It'd be breaking into that European category again. Can use that to then springboard again. But I do think we are starting to witness something on the turn at least. But anyway, please do let me know what you think. Obviously, there are still a lot of the Arteta out faithful, but equally, I have seen a lot of people who are starting to recognise the progress Arsenal are making, and obviously, they are connecting with the club again. Mikel has been very vocal about he wants to re-establish that fan-to-player connection, and you can definitely tell he's doing that. I mean, even Ramsdale, for example, I don't know if you saw on Twitter, gave a shirt to a little fan. This little fan's just crying his eyes out and then walking on wearing the shirt. I mean, it's just we are getting that connection back, and it's brilliant to see. So let me know in the comments, obviously, what you think about Arteta. I do think there seems to be a general consensus that things are starting to come good. So yeah, please do let me know. Obviously, if you have enjoyed, then please do subscribe and like the video. Bye.